Trash talk, I think, has been starting.
I'm curious, following, this series, do you feel like you kick off the year as the definitive best?
I mean, I personally felt that way before the tournament started, so yeah. I hope this tournament solidified it. I think Perks is a very well accomplished player, right? Obviously, but I just don't think he's as good mid lane as people think he is. I definitely think he is very overhyped.
Oh, I'm pretty confident we're gonna win against them. I'm very sure that I can show good performances against them.
I mean, we're gonna beat them again. That's pretty much my whole thoughts.
I don't really have too many messages. I only have one message for Alfari from Team Liquid that I'm coming to NA and I'm gonna play top and against this split and I'm gonna make you regret coming to NA.
Will I ever swap mid to stomp Perks mid lane? Maybe in playoffs.
Tactical tweeted them, and it was basically him and Core rated at the
top
of solo queue, and he's like, "Oh, you guys missing duo queue, right? Because they're not at the top of Challenger anymore." And then Vulcan just responds with a picture of Tactical's face on Tristana jumping in, and then Core JJ had a Photoshop of Vulcan's face as a McDonald's drive-thru guy or whatever.
A wee bit of spice from both of our teams ahead of today's series. Welcome back to the LCS Countdown, where we've got Cloud9 and Team Liquid about to go head-to-head. And we should do nothing other than start looking at some of those big matchups across the board. We're going to start in the mid lane. It's Perks versus Jensen. And Mark, I want to come to you first. Well, it is a contentious a bet between all three of you, and I think that would be expected. Again, these are two massive players going toe-to-toe in the mid lane.
Yeah, and I definitely want to take a look at the draft for both of them starting out. When you look at their champ pools, both have pretty huge champ pools, which you really like to see. There's a slight tendency for Perks, you could say, for some more melee matchups compared to Jensen, but otherwise they both seem to have pretty wide counter picks. So I wanted to go a bit deeper and look in the actual draft situations and how they're getting to these champions, because they're actually very different in this regard. Jensen has blind picked over the course of the regular season way more often than Perks. He also has way more phase 1 picks, meaning before the second rounds of bans come in. Perks wants his pick as late as possible. Even the 3 blind picks usually came in the second phase, after he's trying to wait as long as possible to get it. I think he would have counterpicked basically 18 out of 18 games if he could. And then you see the control mages are relatively close. But what's also really interesting about this is that their trends kind of change towards the end of the season. They end up close together. Perks ended the regular season with 4 straight control mage games, and that's when Jensen started picking later on in the second phase and getting more counter picks when he started busting out the Vigars, the Aries, the Silases, and all this other stuff. And then in the playoffs, they actually have huge champion pools. The only repeat pick between the two of them is Orianna. And so both these players have gone a little bit more counter pick oriented as the season's gone on, and I'm really excited to see where they go from here in a full 5-game series.
Both of them have oceans when it comes to the champions that they have available to play, Raz. But at the end of the day, it's going to come up to how do they perform on the Rift on the day.
Yeah, with Jensen, he's definitely an insanely solid player. Just based off what Mark says, you can pick him wherever he wants, but he'll get it done for you. With Perks, this man, his accomplishments are undeniable. He's a playmaker, he's versatile, he's a leader, 9 All-Pro, 8 in the LEC, won this split in the LCS, and All-Pro first team, by the way, in AD carry in the mid lane. And there's a reason why Cloud9 brought him along, because the fact that he has 8 LEC champions, the most decorated European player from that in that regard, and an MSI championship taking down Team Liquid in the finals, who they're facing today, and a Worlds finalist. They're you can go on and on of what he's able to bring for this team, and it really starts at this point, because if you're Cloud9 and you're bringing him on, not bringing him on for the regular season, you're bringing him on for playoff perks. You're bringing him on for international perks and what he can provide for you in that instance. So I think this is when we look much more closer at the mid lane matchup. Jensen has a lot to take on. I've been loving what I've been seeing from him. This is when Perks, makes it worthwhile.
And I think the evolution of Perks throughout this split with C9 is so important, right? When these two teams last faced off in a best of 5, Perks was still getting used to the team. So when I'm looking at these two, even though I favored Perks, I do want to talk about Jensen and his performance recently, especially in their last best of 5, I think he performed insanely well. Cold has gone on to Mark's point to talk about how they're really trying to push him out of his comfort zone because obviously he has the mechanical skill, right? Like he has the skill to be able to play whatever he wants. Mark already talked about this. He doesn't go for the same counter pick, potential that Perkz does. Like Perkz has kind of already made a name for himself on C9 by locking in these counter picks, by locking in whatever he wants, maybe counter picking himself even, and then going and skill checking his opponent. But I was so impressed with Jensen in their more recent performances towards the end of the split, and then additionally in their last best of 5 leading up into this matchup. So I'm super excited to see them go up against each other now that they've both had, Perkz had so much more time with C9 to gel on this team. I really want to see what both of them can do.
Yeah, I think he proved what he's been saying all split long when he went up against TSM, is that he can play much more than what he's been showing. He's barred by what the team wants from him, so he's going to be picking Ori, the Galio in early picks. He's just blinding consistently during the regular season, but now that we've gone towards an Everfrost patch, or just patches where you want to be counter-picking far more frequently, he's let himself know, I can do that. And so that's what we're seeing more from Jensen, is him stepping up when the patch has changed, and when now he can call for more attention.
Yeah, and I think that's especially relevant when we talk about, this is a team game. Draft is not just these two guys trying to counterpick each other, because as the series evolves, what's happening in particular in the top lane, because Alphari likes counterpick himself, that might force the priorities to change for both these teams. Yeah. If your top lane's getting slammed, suddenly it's like, okay, or Perkz, you can't take counterpick. We need to give it to Fudge so you can survive in the top side or something like that. And it becomes very fluid over a 5-game series how these people have to react. And that's why I think the mid lane one's the most interesting, because I also think it's the most flexible in some regards.
All right, but if you're talking top lane, I feel like we should go there next. You've got Alphari versus Fudge. We take a look at the report card and see where you guys stand. I don't think it's going to surprise anybody that there is favoritism towards Alphari. He's one of our top 3 contenders for Honda MVP. Emily Randy was unanimously the best top laner in the league this split.
Yeah, and I mean, when we look at this and we're like, okay, we're obviously heavily favoring Alphari. That is no offense to Fudge, and like full credit to just how insane Alphari has performed since getting here. And, to look at TL's evolution and how they transfer that is actually the most important part, right? Because if TL are going to do well today, what they really need to do is transfer all of this pressure that Alphari has the ability to create on his own into map wins, into, their entire macro game, and then snowball the game from there.
Yeah, I think he's a great playmaker for the team, and I think that's one of the areas where TL struggled with a little bit in the regular season, was finding how to incorporate him into the overall game plan. Because it's like, okay, you get a counter pick, we gank for you a little bit. How do we actually win from here now that you're ahead? And they've gotten a lot better at that over the course of the regular season. I mean, since that 100 Thieves game where they, killed Impact 6 times or whatever it was and still lost that game, like that, they have been so much better ever since then. And Alphari is an MVP candidate because of how much he's transformed the look of this TL squad compared to last year.
Yeah, last year with Impact, even though I thought he was, a top 2 top laner, it is just the flexibility. If you have the option, you can take that option in a game 3, 4, and 5. What I think what Alphari brings is that option, the nuclear option. If you end up, needing to counter pick for your top lane, because in a specific, I'm always thinking international. If you're going up against the Bin, or if you're going up against the Wonder, and may not be after today, but like. Basically, if you can't counterpick, then you do counterpick. I think that's something that we need to see more out of Team Liquid, is that flexibility, and that makes them a fun best of 5 team.
All right, so we got a Titan in the top lane in Alphari. Let's talk about Fudge and the work that he has to put in today to take him down.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously the big thing with Fudge is how much he's improved over the entire split, right? So we started with everyone really, really hammering him in lock-in tournament. Blabber was constantly going topside. Now it seems like the team has kind of taken the training wheels off, and if Blabber goes top, it's because it makes the most sense, right? Like I feel like they have kind of slowly backed off, allowed Fudge to come into his own, and you can really see just such a remarkable improvement, even though obviously you look at the matchup head to head, the statistics favor Alphari heavily. I think the most important thing is going to be how each of these integrate their top laners into what the team wants to do. And then additionally with Fudge, it's all about just how much he's improved, how can he hold his own, and whether Blabber can give him those advantages to try to snowball a lead on the top side.
Yeah, I think the Fudge improvement has been remarkable. He has come in at the start of the regular season talking mad smack, then kind of really struggled in the lock-in tournament, and it's been an incredible arc to watch that change that he's gone through over the course of the regular season as well.
Yeah, I think just kind of going back to that point, like I remember at the very beginning of the split, the conversation about like where would we place Fudge? For me, I had him before Someday, and maybe even before Fake God with how the regular season was going. But then even just being able to see what he's been able to do right now, Mark, like I think he's really gone above and beyond for that.
Yeah, I think when you especially look at the direct matchups that he's played in the later portion of the split, he played a best of 5 against Someday in the lock-in tournament, got hard body basically for 5 games in a row almost. And then when you look at the matchup that they had in the best of 5s this playoffs, he actually got the better of Someday. When he got the counter picks and stuff, he was able to absolutely slam on the set. When he was counter picking, he was blinding Sion, doing great. And I think when you look at what happened against Alphari in the lock-in tournament, again, slammed for the majority of that series, but seeing the growth that he's had in the total turnaround from the 100 Thieves series, I expect a similar thing here where, yeah, he's still probably going to get outperformed. I think all of us are expecting that, but it won't be nearly to the same degree. And when given counter pick and played around, I expect it to be a lot better than it was in lock-in.
Yeah, so like that's why I would say the difference in the opinions that we're seeing from like the bar graph where I have him in 60 is mostly because of that growth and evolution. The fact that just last series you could easily have put him as player of the series with how he was able to play. His set game play was phenomenal, and it has been not only as his lane getting steady and like more steadily better, but also just how he's able to manage in team fights. I think he has always been well connected with how the team plays. That Blabber has given him resources when it's been working, but now he's able to transition that a lot more cleanly. So 60% for me, just because it seems like, especially with the 2 weeks before the series happens, that he can make ground, and he already has.
All right, well, there's one lane left to talk about, and that's the two duos going up against each other in the bot lane. We've got Sven and Vulcan on one side, Tactical Core JJ on the other. I'll remind everybody that at the start of the split, the conversation was best bot lane in North America. These were two of the ones that were on the table. I think most, though, Raz, at this point would argue Sven Vulcan have found some consistency where Tactical and Core JJ have maybe struggled to find the same thing.
Yeah, I was actually a little surprised when Core JJ got all-pro first team, because I felt that Vulcan throughout the entire split had been insanely consistent, has always been a shining light for how Cloud9 has played their games. No knock on Core JJ. I would have had him as a very, very close second. And I think at the end of the day, how the playoffs have been panning out, Core JJ has been great. For me, AD carry has been the real focus for me. No. Usually, I don't talk about major blunders, huge focus errors. I would imagine in a playoff setting, that's when you are seeing much less of that. That when you're completely focused, and when everything's on the line, that's when you expect to shape up and see more consistency. I haven't seen that from Tactical. That's what I'm concerned about. I think Sven has been stellar. I think Tactical has those moments that can be a losing point for his team. I don't want to see that anymore, especially in playoff time.
Wow. So when I'm looking at these bot lanes for TL, this is really where I want Core JJ to step up. I think his plays topside are going to be actually so important. And for Vulcan, it's going to be how he's able to match that. Because when we're talking about how TL have played around topside and how successful they've been at transferring those advantages or doing these dives and sending Core up to the top lane, it's all about how well they're coordinating it, because Core has such a great sense of timing and control in some of these, and obviously this one didn't end up as well as they probably had hoped. But I think in terms of like tightening stuff up for TL, it's going to be when are they sending core topside? Is Vulcan going to be able to match it for C9 side? And how do they transfer those advantages like we already talked about with what Alphari can do on that top side as well?
All right, well, we've talked our way through all of the lanes. There's only one thing left to do, and that's me to ask you to do the impossible. Predict the outcome of this series. It's Cloud9, it's Team Liquid. We had Dominate predicting earlier today. He went Team Liquid 3-2. Emily, you're first up on the chopping block. What are you thinking?
So I promise I already sent this in before Dom made his prediction.
I don't believe you.
I have TL 3-2. I think I'm actually so excited for this match. I'm actually expecting these two teams to also be in the finals, regardless of who wins today. I think they're really evenly matched. I'm super excited to see C9 go up against TL in a best of 5 now that they're such a more cohesive team. I think it's going to be really close, but I'm still giving the edge to TL.
3-2. Emily, Raz, you taking notes?
Yeah, and I'm going to copy your homework. 3-2 Team Liquid as well. For literally, you've just hit every point. You know what, Mark? Just go ahead.
Mark?
What? How am I the only person of the 4 people today to predict C9 3-2? I mean, it was a 5-game series in lock-in when Fudge was getting slammed, and Perks was, still a great player, but was not coordinating well with the team quite yet. He was relying on Galio picks and stuff to get involved. I think they're a much more cohesive unit. I think Fudge has gotten a lot better. Team Liquid has improved as well, but I don't think that they've gotten significantly better during their lock-in time. And so it was a really close series then. I think it'll still be a really close series now, but I would say most signs point to the growth of C9 as a whole, and I think that they should be the one expected to win.
All right, the predictions are locked in. No prediction from me, just a prayer for 5 games. And with those predictions set in stone, it's time to hand it over to freaking Kobe for our battle in the upper bracket.
All my hopes of solid League of Legends play rest on Cloud9 TL. I think we're going to have the best League of Legends we've had all year long in this match.
Definitely put that on your calendar. That's for damn sure.
Look at my shine with the glow. Huge by Perks.
We lost both games this split to Liquid, so we really want to take revenge on them. Want to smash them.
Oh, wow. Ride breaker, dunk, finds FBI again,
Usually C9 wins if Blabber has a good early game and he can snowball the game. Other than that, I don't really see how they win games, to be honest.
Olaf, he's gonna run him down and there is no counterplay.
Whereas we are a lot more flexible.
Shuffles Jensen back into the rest of his team, but now the counterattack is true. Perks, what are you doing?
Team Liquid, I think the biggest strength is their laning phases. So as long as we can show up on the day in the first 10 minutes of the game, I think we are just straight up the better team.
And goodbye.
Jensen was considered number 2 to Bjergsen for so many years and always wanted to be kind of that number 1. And then as soon as Bjergsen retires, Perks comes in, everyone's like, oh yeah, Perks is better than you. I want to see the tech, and I want to see these guys flexing on each other.
Multi-man stun coming out here with the Everfront.
Perks plays control mages too. Not as well as me. He tries to play assassins, not as well as me. So he's an AD carry player.
Oh my goodbye. Perks just popping up again.
And that is my biggest advantage right now. I'm just that much better at AD carries in the mid lane than pretty much anybody else in the world.
I think the expectations is that we're pretty evenly matched. Anyone could really win it. But to me, it doesn't feel like that at all. I think we're just better than them.
Jensen around from the side. It is a massacre.
Hello and welcome to what is a preview many expect to be of the finals themselves. The 2 best performing teams in North America this year, no questions asked. These 2 fought in the finals of the lock-in tournament. They had the 2 best records of the regular season, and here they are battling in the upper bracket final in the mid-season showdown. Kobe, Are you excited for this best of 5?
Oh, I'm excited, Freak. Everybody's been waiting for this because this is the winner's match. This is where we have top 2 teams going at each other's throats. There's been trash talk on every single position here has had trash talk back and forth between these two. It does feel like this is going to be the standing rivalry here in the LCS now, 2021. Let's get right into it because Champion Select is actually very, very peculiar with these two teams. Previously, in all the matchups, Jensen had early picked whatever control mage was available, and they saved their counter picks for Alphari. Alphari then proceeds to smash his top lane and get Team Liquid this big early game lead, which they used to steamroll the game. But most recently versus TSM, they saved counter pick for Jensen, and they actually forced Alphari to be the solo laner that early picked on red side and would save their counter pick for mid lane and push Jensen to use more and more champions, the Sylas, the Ahri coming out, Twisted Fate, Veigar, all these types of things. Heavily at this mid lane, and if they're going to use the same strategy versus Cloud9, who Jensen has been pretty outspoken about talking about Perks and how he doesn't think he has much to learn from him and is going to take him down.
Well, Kobe, there's some things Jensen could learn from Perks. You can know what they are by looking at the bottom right corner of the screen. Only one of these mid laners is actually exceptional at playing marksman. Some of that could be because Perks played as a bot laner freshly for a while, won some titles in the LEC, did pretty well internationally. Sure, that could be the reason. Ultimately, Team Liquid do not have that same level of diversity in the mid lane. That's one thing Jensen could learn. Triple marksman ban on the TL side. Fudge is going to grab the Renekton first pick. A lot of junglers left up.
Yeah, I guess they don't have to blind pick for Alphari then because Cloud9 are slamming down the Renekton. There is a 1.5% chance that Renekton gets swapped into mid lane, but it's very low. All right, immediately locking in the Sylas. I love Sylas right now. This champ select is going extremely quick. Sylas got buffed a lot as far as the scaling for the champion too. This is an early Sylas pick without even seeing the rest of the ultimates that you're going to have a possibility of stealing. Hecarim and Seraphine were the only two that they saw up. Those are both really good ultimates to steal. And Cloud9, Freak, before we get even onto the rest of the new picks here.
Okay.
Got to, again, re-hit on Renekton Nidalee, the go-to top lane power duo from ages and ages ago, locked in here for Cloud9. Blabber definitely going to have a lot of options around the top triangle of the map, and opening up in game number 1, Cloud9, this is a statement for them. Considering Fudge said that Alphari is the only top laner in the league that is better than him, they're picking power for top.
All right, so Kobe, you talked about a power duo, and I agree. Nidalee Renekton is very, very strong. I want to talk about a power solo. In this patch, in 11.5, in every top region in the world, LCS, LEC, LCK, and LPL, there has been one Urgot pick. Every team has been sleeping on the fact that Urgot is giga busted on this patch. The LEC in the next patch have been playing him in the playoffs after he got nerfed, and he's been really successful. Pre-nerf Urgot is an LCS kind of curiosity here since we are on 11.5. Every team should be playing Urgot, and finally, Team Liquid are. Alphari's going 18-0 this game.
Yeah, it's a funny consequence of us staying on 11.5, a much older patch, and teams having time to react to the live patches that have already come out. The one you're referring to, this nerf on Urgot on 11.6, is a big tell when they're nerfing the on-hit modifier as well as looking at the Titanic Hydra interaction with Urgot. It's like this big red flag that's like, whoa, this was busted 11.5. It's nerfed now, and we're the only professional league that actually gets to go basically back in time. So we're definitely going to see Titanic Hydra Urgot. I'm expecting if he does not do that build, he's going to be kind of trolling. Catching right back up, though, because it's been fun. Back to our solo lane streak. We do get the Ahri we were talking about for Jensen. He's already put 2 games in on it. He's definitely been the best Ahri that we've seen in the LCS thus far. Should be going with the Everfrost as well for more pick potential. Again, this is before nerfs have come in. So definitely looking for some roaming early on for Ahri. One of the best things about Ahri, too, is you can actually go in with your jungler, with Hecarim, and follow up on any sort of pick and create a big jungle advantage there for the Hecarim side.
All right, so as the draft is locked in, Seraphine was a flex for a while. Could be support, could be bot lane farm, could be mid. As the R gets locked in, we're not sure. Then Ezreal comes in as well. It is support Seraphine here for Core JJ. Still a very, very strong champion. Tactical, going to be safe in the back line. Always questioning if that Arcane Shift is going to be a Maokai W. You know, you got to keep that one in mind. But if Tactical can stay safe, he'll do pretty well. Went back and looked at the Cloud9 and Team Liquid games they have played this year. TL are 5-2 against Cloud9. They won the best of 5 in the lock-in tournament, 3-2, nearly reverse sweep there. And they won both of the regular season games as well. The biggest thing I could see was jungle difference was a really big deal. Blabber stopped finding his way onto kills, and Centauran kept getting the team fights to start. So that's one thing I'm looking at is how this Hecarim can do, getting only one Udyr ban, giving Hecarim away as the first pick, as the most premier jungler, I would say, in the game. This champ has a 98% pro presence. Every team wants Hecarim, and Team Liquid got it.
Yeah, and even more powerful at the moment for them, too. I am still specifically looking for a mid lane, though, because we've all been talking about this Perks versus Jensen matchup for months and months and months. And when you have Sylas versus Ahri, there is some pressure on Ahri to create here because Sylas scales so incredibly well. And there's so many great ultimates for Perks to steal in this game. A lot of playmaking potential there on the side of Cloud9. So I want to see if, they make some sort of, early attempt from the jungle to set up Jensen, make it easier for him to hit this charm. You can, Hecarim, knock Sylas back, get him closer, further out in the lane, as he is in the melee side of the melee range matchup and is going to need a little bit more protection. As we'll continue to see Blabber, focus on this top side. We mentioned Renekton in Italy. As soon as that is locked in, everybody knows that is an incredibly powerful duo. You can point and click CC, set them up for the Nidalee combination there. Yes. Even Urgot has to worry about that, who is usually very self-sufficient on the top side of the map. But I like what Cloud9 have done. They paired it with a bottom side that's really, really early and aggressive as well. Into an Ezreal Seraphine, this Kalista Alistar is going to have plenty of kill pressure. So Blabber's going to have a lot of work set up for him here on Summoner's Rift. Can play to either side of the map. And we need to see which one he's going to prioritize first. For sure. I'd probably say gank Renekton side pop first. Yeah. Wait till your Kalista Alistar is level 6. Then you have crazy potential on the bottom side, and you start stacking your dragons.
Nice first route, though. This is Ven walking up and losing about 200 HP. I'm very intrigued with how this duo lane will play out because, hold on, already. Hey, look, Alfari's off to a good start. Urgot. Outstanding lane bully. This is available, by the way, in all versions of League of Legends right now. He just has those kind of tools, so good start there against Fudge. Ordered down his first potion, same on Alfari's side, but now Renekton has to be afraid for the rest of the laning phase. But the bot lane's interesting because phase rush Alistar is obviously not very tanky, and normally a level 1 Alistar can't do very much, but because he's got a Kalista on his team, if you're willing to flash Pulverize, that can be enough damage to chase down a level 1 Seraphine without her flashing away. As it stands, though, thanks to the early pokes, Ven can't lane too easily until you get the first push. With the wave, you can't really get the chase down, and so TL gonna eat all their advantages in the early laning phase.
Yeah, a couple of things, too. Double defensive summoners on the side of Team Liquid for their bottom lane. Heal plus the exhaust for Core JJ and Tactical because they know they're going to be dealing with quite a few all-ins. Plus, on the top side, for the Urgot matchup versus Renekton, most matchups versus Renekton, you want to try and fight him level 1 off the minion wave so that you deny Renekton being able to charge up any sort of rage. And Alfari jumped on that opportunity. This is a guy that min-maxes every single lane matchup he goes for. Level 1 was able to get that positioning on Fudge, and that leads to this early push so that he can then get off a recall. Being able to push on third wave, get your cannon minion wave in there is so big. It can get you a very nice advantage. Early recall gets off for Alfari. Though Fudge did a good job of scraping up all the minions under his tower.
Very good. Good charm as well by Jensen. Of course, low on mana means he can't get much more than 2 autos, and I think he might have gotten both halves of Q there. So, pretty good trading at the end there by Jensen. But yeah, so 15 to 13 CS how the first 3 waves went. Obviously, Alfari doing a good job of a very standard top lane tactic of get the third wave pushed in all together, get your full recall off. You lose maybe 1 CS on the way back. The wave's going to be at equilibrium. Don't worry about it. And allows him to, go through potions, be up the corrupting pot, and have lane priority. And Fudge, unless he wants to burn TP, cannot match that. And so now version 2 laning phase gets even better for Alfari. Definitely going to have my eyes on that one. Jensen doing great in mid lane. Says, yeah, if you want to go for that cast minion, I'm going to charm you. Has to back him off. 24 to 20 CS in mid. Nice recall stop for Jensen there. From Sven there. Means CoreJ has to be late back to lane. And we get to take a look at the laning phases. Very small goal lead to TL overall.
Yeah, the difference for a mid lane is that Perks, with knowing that he has to play Sustain Wars in Sylas versus Ahri early on, the melee side of the matchup, has the teleport instead of the Ignite, which Jensen takes for the all-in for his, attempt at First Blood. So Perks gets to teleport back out and start pushing this minion wave, building up a slow push of his own to be able to crash into waves. And then you get an opening there. Early on for Sylas, it's not just Blabber that can move around. If he gets a little window there from mid lane as well for Perks, can try and take that opportunity to go help out with, the Fudge Renekton side as well.
That would have been a couple hundred damage there on a Jensen. He sidesteps away just in time to not land the Abduct, and ultimately going to be okay with that. You can see now how much of the CS is able to collect back up. Still going to have a 2 CS lead. Fudge takes some damage, but surviving just fine up there. Blind pick Renekton. Again, definitely a strong pick overall. Weathers a very small laning deficit. Has gotten his first recall off as well, so Cloth Armor and Boots going to make that laning phase less abysmal. Jensen might find his way onto Perks, but without level 6 in either case, might be hard to find the engage. Santorin's here, going to be jumped on. Perks is forced to flash as E was on cooldown. Nice done by Santorin, trades Ghost for flash.
And what Perks did with his opening on the 2-wave push we were talking about, he went bottom side to clear out that vision. There were 3 wards from Team Liquid down there. He cleared those out and placed his control ward, but then move up a little bit towards the top side of the map and allows, Santorin gets in there with a good exchange. Ghost for flash. Vulcan trying to come even the terms here, but there's no risk for Jensen.
Yeah, Vulcan not willing to flash headbutt pull. Probably wouldn't have been lethal damage anyway. Would have taken 3 turret shots, so says, never mind, we're done here. Out we go. Blabber gets a control to make sure he is safe as Fudge is 6. This is the timing. This is the gank timing. Alfari should not be 6 in time. Get the big stun. Get the combo off. Here he goes. Pops it. Gets the stun. Big damage in from Blabber. Can they deny level 6? Yes, they can. That is how you coordinate a top dive. But be careful because Santorin's back. But he pulls in Blabber, not Fudge. He auto-attacked the wrong champion. And Fudge may have died otherwise, but Santorin cannot turn it around.
Oh, he really wants to get something out of it too. Can't get anything here. Alfari will teleport right back out and not lose out on the minions. But again, Renekton Italy, every time you see it locked in, you know this one is coming. Blabber heads up there after showing mid as well. So really good timing right before Alfari can get level 6 off that minion wave. Here's what you're talking about as Santorin actually knocks in Blabber. And instead of Fudge, doesn't get him into the tower range with his ult on, would have been able to probably get lethal there.
Flash force attack, but be careful because, of course, Vulcan does not have Aftershock. He's a little squishy and has to walk back out. Does so safely. He'll be fine. But that's a nice engage. It forces the flash off of Tactical. And now it means the Vulcan, just with Hex Flash, is still mostly full power.
And the game is going kind of just how we thought it was going to go, Freak. Top side early on for Renekton with Nidalee. Now, as the bottom side is approaching level 6, and you burn a flash on bottom side as well on the side of Team Liquid, then Cloud9 can transition some of their focus. Meanwhile, though, Santorin wants Perks.
Can he find the way out? Gets to steal the Hecarim ulti, gets dove anyway, and it's gonna just be enough, but he gets the trade kill. Perks making the best of a bad situation, turning one around.
Yeah, he does get a trade kill. He's going to lose out on a triple stacked wave, though. Jensen, he's going to greet for the turret play. Blabber!
Flash auto, red buff should be enough. He's going to walk at the poor guy. The flash, Blabber, aim it well, aim it well. Nice sidestep by Jensen. Blabber's going to jump in. That's a bit too much. Blabber greeted for the kill, lost the wave as the punishment. Gets a flash out of it, but nothing else.
Oh my goodness. This one is coming in pretty hot here, Freak. They do get the kill onto Perks, so Jensen gets that cap in his crown right now, does get the first kill. Counter kill going over to Sylas, though, even with the big wave lost, is decent money for him. So it's a very small +1 there on the side of Team Liquid, considering Jensen also had to flash due to Blabber's chase down. But here's another look at it. I like Perks' immediate reaction to steal the Hecarim ultimate. So critical there. That's the whole reason he's able to get this counter kill. Immediately steals it, goes unstoppable, so that Jensen can't lock him down there with the charm and allows himself some space. But bottom side, this went on. Vulcan was able to get a flash out of CoreJJ with just his own Hex Flash. So now, Both bottom laners for Team Liquid, no flashes available, and it's level 6 Kalista, Alistar as well, soon to be level 6. That's definitely a play in the making. Blabber takes the objective on the top side of the map first, so once he goes for a bottom side play, he won't have to give up anything on top side, and they can't Rift Herald in response. This is really good check mark here for Cloud9. They're kind of removing counter play options from Team Liquid before they even set up the play themselves.
I want to point out some very small things Ven is doing here. I think a very typical thing for Kalista players is to just like auto, rend, killing minions. But because he has Vamp Scepter, he actually would prefer to auto attack as many times as possible. And so when he's not under any threat, does not rend to CS, but just takes the extra time to land a 3rd or 4th auto attack. That way his health bar is a bit higher. So good on Sven, even though it would be free. It's more health this way, so that's good.
Yeah, I mean, any carriers are used to like telling people, "Don't touch this wave, let me lifesteal off it." But you don't have to tell yourself not to not touch the wave. I will lifesteal off it, no problem here. Nice dodge there on the charm for Perks. Is going to take that little bit of harassment, and honestly, he's doing pretty well in this LSR matchup, considering he also got Dove on the big wave to only be down, 4 DCS here. Not so bad.
Not his best trade there on Perks' side. It was a nice attempt, but he couldn't get back to the minions, so skill shots land from Jensen. 14 CS lead remains the difference. Javelin not going to land. Santorin waiting for Fudge to go back for a play, and he's just unwilling to do so. He's like, nah, Nidalee's bottom side. They know she's bottom side. I have no upside for fighting this one. Even if it's a 1% chance, it's a 1% chance I die if Santorin's in that jungle or in that brush, so I am out. So, first Herald went to the way of Cloud9. First Dragon going to go to them as well. Mid lane's now fighting. Perks has an Ahri ultimate and just dashes backwards. Has been ignited. Says, well, you know what? Whatever, we're fine. Oh, goes to the play. Got a nice little heal. Alistar, Hex Flash, almost in range. Headbutt Pulverize. But right there, Santorin's in. Can he turn it around? So far, no, as Vulcan took the turret. Blabber next, and Perks has W back up. There is no play for Santorin. The counter gank means nothing. And Cloud9 are up 3-1.
And again, so many objectives for Cloud9. Bottom side is going to be a 2v1 though. Can Sven...
Cleanses, gonna look for the slow, look for the ulti. Eventually wants to flash in reaction to the ultimate, and it's gonna be aimed well! Beautifully done by Core JJ. Tactical claims the kill.
5-head Core JJ right there, predicts it. Able to lock him down with the Seraphine ultimate, and the action just don't stop, Freak. Dive again.
Alfari has ulti, so you cannot get below 1/3 or you die to the ultimate unless you kill him in time. So there's the dive, there's the stun. There is absolutely no counterplay. And in the top lane, another kill goes over to Fudge.
It's just too easy, Freak. That's why you pick your point-and-click stuns. Even bringing in the Perks teleport for good measure, so you have another stun to follow it up. Alfari is feeling the heat this time around. Cloud9 stomping this early game. You know, with how well Team Liquid have done throughout this split in the early game. C9 drafted very heavily for it on top and bottom side of the map. It's paying off for them. Blabber's jungle brain really doing work as well. I mentioned how he takes the Rift Herald topside first before transitioning down to his Kalista Alistar lane. That blue flashes by themselves. So even though in that play when Santorin's hovering in the brush on top side, not only does Fudge know not to go aggressive there, but there's no objective for them to get on the other side of the map either. Here's Perks with the bait. They just heard the dragon go off, and you know that it is split map right now. So Jensen walking a little bit far up with no more charges on his ultimate is definitely greedy, and C9 don't hesitate to punish him. Cloud9 keep up the pace as well. When they're at their best, Cloud9 is a full court press team. They make play after play, and after getting an advantage in mid lane, they then use their teleport, man advantage from mid lane for Perks to go take that, extra presence from diving mid lane to the top side, take it the entire tower with the Rift Herald, and just blow this game wide open.
Really impressive stuff, getting the mid and jungle out on the map. Of course, Vulcan's done the same on support, and this is what you expect out of a Seraphine support, of course, right? She is a late-game champion. The shields are gigantic. The AoE crowd control is better than Alistar's, but she's not that same kind of aroma that a Hex Flash, Headbutt, Pulverize can bring to the team. It's just not going to do that same kind of stuff. So, Team Liquid hoping the end game can get here, but right now we're just Infinity War, and I mean, right now it's another kill to the top side. Alfari, the ult's not going to matter. Perks brings it to him instead and says, thanks, buddy. I'll take that execute.
Get Perks a window to roam from mid. Unlock Perks as often as you possibly can from mid. Blabber was holding mid right there for that extra wave. He goes up top side. Another kill onto Alphari. This is the first time in the LCS that Alphari has started with this terrible of a start. 0-3, tower dead, all before 14 minutes, all turret plates taken. And Cloud9 doing such a good job. It really feels like the prep coming into this one, they've stored up a lot of that energy from the regular season, losing both regular season games, losing the best of 5 in the lock-in tournament. They definitely came to play here. They don't want to let history repeat itself.
Well, so far so good. Cloud9 off to a 3.5 thousand gold head start. Not even 50 minutes into the game just yet, but they are absolutely smashing. Every single lane has their own level of advantage. Second Dragon comes up in just about a minute. That should be pretty easy as well. Obviously, all the help top side. Said Fudge's blind pick was going to be enough. It's going to be no problem. They knew they'd be able to pick up the Nidalee to make the top dive work. So far, all three of them have been outstanding, and we've got a 0-3 Urgot. Now, his farm is okay. He will eventually get to 2 items, and then it'll be fine, but he took that pit stop for the defensive tools. That didn't mean much. Good Arcane Shift keeps him safe. But eventually, offensive Urgot comes online, but, he's 1,600 gold down because of what he had to buy.
I will say that as much hype is building for Cloud9 right now, they have to ride this hype. Because if they give over a team fight to Team Liquid will have a much higher peak. There's a lot of investment in early game champions in Champ Select here for Cloud9. And it's them right now, but that means you don't want to make that big mistake. If you make that big blunder, give over a bunch of cash to Team Liquid. Ezreal right now scales insanely well with the Essence Reaver plus Muramana build. The abilities one-shot you. He has infinite mana at that point, tons of haste as well. So you definitely have to be a bit careful with it because there is pick potential on the side of Team Liquid. All that being said, though, should sustain full control here for Cloud9 for the time being. Dragon number 2 picked up, with no possibilities of counterplay there from Team Liquid. TL have to bide their time to, get 2 items on their carries first. And Seraphine needs to at least get Moonstone, and then they can start to bring in their team fight, their healing.
So then if we can bait Jensen, gets a nice little Q route there. I like that one. Gets a Ren stack on the minion, throws the Q, Ren's midair. It works to get the reset and the slow on Jensen, but ultimately, he's not interested. He knows the team was bottom side. He knows Vulcan could be around. Not going to go for that play. Doesn't get served up. No Happy Meal down there. So, resets come across. Items still stacking up.
I'm loving it, Freak. Keep going.
Thanks, man. I love it. Oh, nice. Yeah, touche. All right, we'll see who wears the crown at the end of the series, but it's so far looking like Cloud9 as Tactical gets rooted, jumps back. Perk's not going to quite chase any farther. Doesn't have teammates nearby, and the bottom river was all Fog of War. Good sidestep there. Tactical's not going to get any damage, but keep in mind, Vulcan's close by. This 2-on-2 is easy for Cloud9. And here comes the attempt. Will he flash for it? Tactical's Arcane Shift should be back up by now, so not easily done. Blabber grabs a second Herald, not even a problem. Has his own Everfrost as well, by the way. Night Harvester a little bit more common to the build, but going more crowd control heavy.
Honestly, I like it. With Cloud9 opening up the map so early, having another Everfrost literally has so much mobility. Yeah, Tactical can get the small win there on the Q on the Raptor, but honestly, I actually am kind of hyped for this Everfrost Italy. To see Blabber follow up on a lot of these picks, because this Cloud9 team suffers from one thing. It's definitely a lack of range. That's why we're cautioning against giving extra money over to Team Liquid, making any of those blunders. What they do have in great strength is dive potential. When you have this Kalista with this strong early game from the top side of the map, your Sylas is already very fed as well. If you now have so much crowd control brought from items, 2 Everfrost and a Stride Breaker, that just makes your dive that much stronger and increases your ability to catch Team Liquid members out in transition. If you can get these outer towers down, you start to close in on the jungle, you then starve your opponent of jungle resources, further increasing your gold lead, and give you pick opportunities to try and use those items.
Nice little snipe there on Sven. Tactical increases damage per minute stats a little bit there. Might not mean much because he's got shield bow, and that means he's going to lifesteal off the wave, and it's like nothing ever happened at all, as Rift Herald summon in mid lane. Will not quite solo kill the mid lane outer turret, but it's going to get pretty low. As Tactical dodges away from spears from 2 different Cloud9 members. If it gets about 3,500, that's going to get close to being killed from the crash, down to about 1k left. Obviously, a pretty good start right now. Second turret yet to be killed for either team, but Cloud9 happily just kind of trading farm back and forth and slowly picking up the dragons because, hey, we're 7 minutes away from a Cloud Soul if it keeps going this way.
Yeah, they also don't siege exceptionally well, so need to play the side lanes here. You have Renekton, you have Sylas, both with teleport. So push out your side lanes, then contract again towards mid to get this outer done. They do have some setup on Dragon.
Here we go. Fear comes across. Blabber going to find himself a single root and a stun as well. Santorin cannot survive. And Fudge Stride breaks 4. Gets a single stun. Charm hits only one champion. And the tower dive comes in for Cloud9. 2 for 0 to start. Cannot quite find the rest. True Shot Barrage nearly lands thanks to Perks. But Blabber is still on the hunt. Can he find the skill shots? Not just yet. They're going to take down mid lane outer turret just like they wanted to all along. And now it's going to take away some camps and get that gold lead a bit higher.
Expertly done by Cloud9. You expand to push your side lanes with your split pushers, but as soon as you draw Team Liquid out, immediately contract. Go for those engages. The Stride Breaker, these CC items we're talking about for Cloud9, Fudge has a perfect one. And guess what? Sven doesn't hesitate. He flashes over on the Kalista. So here's the start C9 we're waiting for. Vulcan immediately counter engages after they get the first kill. Fudge over the top. Sven, look at him. He throws over Vulcan and immediately flash follows so they can get the extra kill, continue on with the dive, and continue to snowball their lead.
You can see the turrets getting lower now. Top lane tier 2 at about 5%. 2 of the 3 camps got taken away from the top jungle. At least Krugs were left up for Santorin there. Maybe they hadn't spawned yet. I'm not sure. But Cloud9 taking the safe recall, making sure they are back on the map in time. It's 20 seconds till Dragon. You've all got to be ready to make sure Dragon number 3 goes your way. Don't greed the one wave and give away a Dragon and increase the chance for a comeback. Nah, just kill Jensen where he stands. Oh, this man is dead. The turret's not going to save you. Here you go. Ooh, good flash. Flash pulp is a bit much though, Vulcan. They're not here to follow around. That was a bit greedy. Yeah, who cares?
I mean, he's like, I'm Phase Rush Alistar, let's go! He wants the follow. Nobody else wants to greet it though, because honestly, the time you waste on respawning Soul Point Dragon, you want to kill this Cloud Drake as quick as possible. So next one is going to spawn so you can grab your soul that much earlier. They are working against the clock here for Cloud9, so they don't want to go chasing around Jensen. And even with Phase Rush on Alistar and Vulcan knowing he can follow for the stun, nobody else overextends there. C9 will take the objectives that come to them. Bottom lane now going to be the last outer turret to fall. Cloud9 have taken all 3. This is the stage where you really get to see them shine. Teleport still on Perks. They can just flex out into the 1-3-1 again, have the extra teleport to cover on any sort of Team Liquid move. Bright side for Team Liquid, there's your Essence Reaver, Muramana that I was talking about. This is actually a really big spike for Ezreal. Actually, Taco has a little bit of a way to go to continue there, but you'll start to see how hard the abilities hit once you can get your transformation. It just seems like the ultimate is back to old, almost AP Ezreal levels, and the Qs as well really have to be avoided by Cloud9.
Right now, there's a lack of sweepers. Only 2 on the side of Cloud9. And Vulcan never pops his, so he stood on and then walked by a second ward. Team Liquid with their degree of safety is like, wait, are they Baroning? Okay, they're not, but we really couldn't tell because they cut vision so heavily. And we weren't really sure as Vulcan was maybe just the bodyguard to keep Santorin away. But no, a simple reset on the Cloud9 side. Zhonya's Hourglass now done for the dynamic duo of Blabber and Perks. Their builds mirroring each other. Even down to the Darksteel. Sadly, 1 stack apart. I mean, why even bother coordinating when you've got an extra Darksteel stack, extra control ward? Try a bit harder, guys, really.
It's mid lane dominance, you know. They're still more powerful. Junglers have to be very careful. We got to keep our heads low. If we have more Darksteel stacks than the mid laners, everyone's going to start crying for jungle nerfs again. So good job, Blabber. He's like, oh, I'm not OP. Look at Perks. He's got an extra steel stack.
Got an extra ring, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's the boots are prettier. They've got like the nice marker design on. Like it's really nicely done, handcrafted. You know, in the tune of Mercury. All right. So, Santorin can look for a couple of deep wards and maybe get a steal on the Gromp right now. Team Liquid, they've got to find some kind of macro play now, right? Some kind of way to, get a pick or navigate around. Fudge can just, steal the Gromp. And honestly, okay, yeah, gets a smite, but Santorin...
This is not it.
By waiting for it, gets headbutt pull, Javelin, he's ignited. Hey, look, Perks is here! Thanks for the kill, buddy. I've got the ult for later. All right, R's on the runaway. Nice. Yeah, get out.
Gromp steal is not the play, Freak. Where you're like, they got to find some type of play. Solo Gromp steal, not worth. That's going to give over Baron to C9.
Perks is also Hecarim. Just depends on how much he wants to lose his life. Eats a honey fruit, but he's down to 1K. Has to be respectful. No smite available on TL. Vulcan over the wall. It's actually the entire squad going in for the play. Fudge getting a bit low. You cannot stride breaker walls, I am 99% certain. So Fudge is going to lose his life, but, smited to 1 HP. A miss smite, but a kill in the end. Cloud9 trade ultimately 1-for-1 and get themselves the Baron.
It's always funny to me when people are like, oh man, it's unlosable, this Baron, with the Rend and Smite. But it's not like you get guaranteed combo on your Rend Smite, Freak. Like, it's two people coordinating, and you're like, all right, Rend now! And sometimes you get situations like that. But yeah, it definitely is a big boon. The Smiter, I feel like, should always smite first, Rend is, and then Rend after. But yeah, honestly, they still get the Baron, even though they give over Fudge as the distraction counter there for Cloud9 over the top of the wall, and does give his life for the cause. But Cloud9 now wearing purple. Let's see if they can actually break inside the rest of these secondary turrets. Again, they don't have the greatest siege, so they do have to have strength in numbers and look for possible dives and CC chains. Here's another look at it. Fudge, he dodges that Urgot ultimate, so if you're able to dodge that ultimate and he buys more time, that's what allows them to actually finish the Baron. If he had not dodged that ultimate, immediately got sucked in by Alphari. Very different scenario.
Has an Ez ult now as well. Nice sidestep by Tactical, by the way. Got away from the abduct. So ultimately didn't have to get comboed down because may have just died from full health if Perks landed any of the CC. The Everfrost, I think, was actually what he's leading with. But ward goes down. They were right that Cloud9 was there, but that's just 15 gold handed over and says, okay, we'll just leave the brush, whatever. It's still ours, no big deal. Bot lane now under fire, and there is an attempt to defend this one. We'll see if it's going to be enough. Honestly, you can see Alphari is like, yeah, no, it's Baron buff. Tier 2's yours, see ya. We'll defend something else down the line. 8,000 now the gold lead on the Cloud9 side. They are well and truly running over this game.
I mean, Jensen doesn't even have teleport. Yeah, so Jensen has to do a full recall to get back here. They get a big chunk on the tower and go for it.
Big Ezreal's going to hit 3 champions. It even tagged Jensen the backhand side, so nicely aimed. Easily able to walk away from Tactical as well. Perks holding on to the appropriate cooldowns. Can't quite find the Q poke, but ultimately Team Liquid are able to defend as the Red Bull Baron's still on for 45 seconds. Cloud Soul is there. I like the shot calling by Cloud9. Push in, don't overextend, don't go for too big of a dive, and then just comfortably fall back to the Soul with no one around you. No chance to steal. Yeah, full fog of war, no way to lose this one. Good job by Cloud9. You can even save your smite if you want to. He doesn't.
Fair enough. Don't need to. End of the Baron is going to time out here. Again, Team Liquid, they're waiting for this perfect counter engage opportunity, but Cloud9 don't, have to risk anything. So getting a full reset off with all of the money that they just got. We now have a full Bloodthirster completed on Sven as well. Nice 3-item power spike for this Kalista. He is huge. It will take a gigantic effort to take down this Kalista, considering all of the bruisers and crowd control that's running around in the Cloud9 team fight around the Kalista. It really does feel like this is going to be the push for Cloud9. They did weaken bottom side tower. They're not split pushing to bottom anymore. It's just the 1-4 with mid pushing and Perks gaining the minion wave on top side. So the extra little bit of damage on that bottom side tower not really going to come into anything, but Cloud9 can still have a full stranglehold on both sides of the jungle. Continue to push out on top and mid, and then look for these pincer moves.
Okay. 5 kill difference, and yet the game is so much farther apart than just what that would kind of imply to you. Cloud9 have been running away with this the entire time around. Alphari has never had 3 deaths at 15 before. This is literally a record set for this year because C9 was able to get 3 dives off successfully topside pre-15 and just set him so far behind that he's just not been able to have that same impact on this game. Honestly, Cloud9 doing really, really well to play around Fudge the exact right amount. The exact 3 ganks he got, alternate kills. Every time Centurion went up there, Fudge played far enough back that he wasn't a target. And everywhere else just kept getting farther and farther ahead. Yes, here we go. Will there be a bit of a dive? Perks is going to be rooted. Is there a turn? Not onto him, though. Mid under fire. Charm does not matter on Alistar. Ults in. Headbutt pull comes across. The Fear. They're going to try to knock down the horse, and they will pick him up. The Charm, the root, a lot of damage coming across, but not enough follow-through. Cloud9 get the 1 for 0 and the turret.
Dive number 1 successful. Rinse and repeat here for Cloud9. Push out all of the waves. Look again. There's no more secondary towers. Next step will be the inhibitors.
Okay. Right now, not even many resets. There's a few, actually. Looks like everyone is going to be heading back to base. Perks says he doesn't have anything else to buy. Maybe a second NLR would be around, but going to take the Wolves instead. Baron is the next setup. We are 1 minute away from Baron spawning, and everyone's recalls are done except for Sven. He greeted out for the chickens. Fair enough. It is going to get him a BF sword. And it's not going to hurt, really. Like, they're so far ahead, it's not like they need him to make sure they can fight for ward control, but it's just the slightly greediest recall to channel after 1 minute. That's all.
Yeah. Fair enough here, though. Cloud9, again, they want to draw Team Liquid out. Jensen is out. He's going to have to use all 3 ult charges and still might die.
Headbutt pulled, gets the auto attack stun as well. Perks steals Ariel just to make sure he can't get away. I'm not sure that Zhonya's means anything. It's a 2-minute cooldown, which is probably longer than you need, considering there might be another fight pretty soon, and won't have that cooldown up. Ultimately, Baron is basically a freebie, spawns in 15 seconds.
I mean, at this point, Team Liquid, they're just like looking pretty doomed at the moment, so it feels like they're getting a bit lazy with some of these overextensions. You know, Jensen, even with Ahri Ultimate and Flash, can't push out a side wave up towards Baron, and that's just going to mean Cloud9 don't even have to turn off this Baron. They were going to try and start up Baron, look for the engage again, but they don't have to. With the kill there onto Jensen, he won't be around, and the only thing they have to worry about is this little bit early on the Ezreal ult, so...
Yep, and you love to see that as Cloud9. You're like, this is like the happiest Ezreal you've ever seen. It's like, okay, it's down. It's absolutely free. Smites at 3,000. Ren's at 1,500. Cool. Yep, I like that. Kobe, you called it out earlier, right? The early smite, just let the Kalista time it. Well done.
All right, here we go. Cloud9 wearing purple and tactical.
Well, he arcane shifts, he sidesteps. A good route by Core JJ slows down Fudge, but it's a Cloud Rift. That man runs fast if you don't auto-attack him, and he's dodging every single skill shot. He still runs fast. No dive. Back to the base.
They zone him off the mid wave, though. Cloud9 usher up that mid wave, and that's going to be this tower taking a beating. Team Liquid have to make the last stand now.
Charm gonna land, saves Cleanse, headbutt pull, hits 3, no re-engage. Uh-oh. Nice pullback there, saving Alistar away from Alfari's engage. And now the re-engage could be enough. Alfari does knock down Vulcan in the end and stays alive. Hecarim dive into the back line, but can't get enough either. A pair of shutdowns go over, and Team Liquid losing only a turret. Get a lot of gold back off that dive.
They make it happen. The miracle stand, Freak. Cloud9 can't get the inhibitor. They can't get inside the Team Liquid base. Jensen sets it up going in there with the charm on Ahri, but it's really about the Seraphine ultimate over the top from Core JJ. Even though Alfari can't get his ultimate on Urgot and, get the fear off the first kill, they still are able to take him down, and Perk's going right back in on Silas, add the extra money over into Team Liquid's pockets. Here's another look again. Big knock up there from Vulcan, but they're all grouped up, and you can see Core JJ positioning here for the big Seraphine ultimate into the Ezreal ultimate right over the top, then layered on the Hecarim Fear, and the rest of Cloud9 not in position to even do damage as Perks goes right back in. So big stand there from Team Liquid. It's very late in the game. We were cautioning earlier maybe about giving some money and a team fight over to Team Liquid.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's been so far, so deep into the game that there's not anything really for Team Liquid to take in the aftermath. They can try and set up for this Elder Dragon.
Yeah.
And that is going to be the hope. This is always the hope of your last stand teams is your Elder Dragon fight. Maybe you can steal it. Maybe any team can win a fight if you steal an Elder Dragon buff.
Yeah, TL did everything they could, right? They got the 5v3 on the map. They went and immediately took control of the bottom river. They pushed down the mid lane wave. They said, okay, this is our chance to set up. But they know they're still down 10,000 gold. They know the items are not closed. Pretty much every member has an extra completed legendary. And that means when Cloud9 walks back into mid, TL, vision or not, realize well, they can just bully us off. We can't just take this fight for free, but maybe while you're hitting the dragon, we can try, but Santorin's getting bullied off. This Rend is free, and now with Elder Dragon on, TL took too long to choose to fight. The charm might land, but the one from Jensen won't, and it's not going to matter. Volk to the back line. Double kill already for Perks. Sven's going to throw in Alistair for a bit more. Easy Dive comes across, already 4 kills. Alfari left alone. He's going to drop as well. The Bud Light Ace for Cloud9, not a problem. 15,000 gold and a game 1 win goes the way of the underdogs. You might consider as Cloud9 will take down Team Liquid the first.
Cloud9 heard you were talking about early games, so they slammed down Renekton, Nidalee, Kalista, Alistar, and they steamroll that early game. Big stuff in the opening game of the winner bracket finals. Cloud9 with an emphatic W to start this one off.
Yes, it is beautifully done. And I mean, so much flipping the script, right? We had the W, we got the M logo thrown out, Mammoths from FUD, that's beautiful as well. But the fact that the top pressure worked. I know you were mentioning it, Kobe. You know, is TL going to counterpick mid, or will they counterpick top? They counterpicked both. And they had a CS lead in mid. I mean, that was pretty good by Jensen. You know, well played by Brooks, turn 1 dive around, but top got smashed. And realistically, is this a lack of maybe ward coverage or proper safety? You can pick this apart, but at the end of the day, never before this year has Alfari been killed 3 times early game. This time, C9 did it.
I mean, they pick Renekton and Nidalee. Blabber does go top. He actually showed a little bit mid before the first gank on top side. But then, too, the follow-up ganks for Cloud9 to unlock Perks and let Perks go up top as well. Definitely really good stuff there. Good game plan from C9 in game number 1.
Yeah, really beautifully done right here. So I'm curious how the rest of the best of 5 is going to go. If TL can find us a new strategy, if they find a new side, or if they just find a way to shore up those dives that turned it all for Cloud9. Now, with the 1-0 start, it's been well played, but we still got plenty of games ahead. We're stepping away, but in return, we're going to break down match 1 at the State Farm Analyst Desk. See you soon.
Hey, I didn't order any pizza.
Jake from State Farm. After you saved me so much dough on insurance with that Parker promo, I devised a promo for you.
Here's the deal, Parker. State Farm offers everyone surprisingly great rates.
Yeah, right. Pepperoni pockets, an atomic brownie, cuckoo crusty.
There's no promo, it's just great rates.
And a cider ranch. You're the man.
When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Change of range.
Welcome back to the midseason showdown on the State Farm Analyst Desk. Cloud9 takes game 1 in the series, and they do it in quite dominating fashion, if I'm being honest with you all. That one felt locked up at a pretty early point within the matchup. We'll get into gameplay in just a moment, but Raz, I'm curious thoughts on champion select, and we'll get thoughts from all three of you because we were talking lane by lane matchups and champion pools and how they might come into play today. We had a couple interesting things here. Everything from a Renekton to an Urgot in the top lane, a Sylas versus an Ahri in the mid lane. How'd you feel about it?
So from Cloud9's perspective, this is what we kind of saw versus 100 Thieves is the Renekton flex. So you're going to have to respect that it either goes mid or top lane. And in this sense, they had a Nidalee instead of a Lilia. And the Sylas just kind of throws that it let the enemy team know we're putting a Sylas mid, which is awful for Seraphine mid. So that's why for Seraphine, she wanted to change that up and go bot lane. In my opinion, I think from Team Liquid's perspective, if you go for a draft like this, man, so there are two things. It's so much to cover. Two topics. First topic, if you have Urgot, I generally really love having burst with the Urgot, like a Kai'Sa or something to follow up, like a Dive Buddy, to make it so you actually can get a something that makes the Urgot worthwhile in team fights, so you can get an execution on ulti. So that's one thing. And also, the last thing is that you don't have anyone to really face check if you're not on objective first. So if you ever are down in tempo, or if you're just behind in a game, that basically Hecarim is just soloed going in, or even Urgot maybe if he's like sacking top for it, and they just get destroyed by either the Nidalee poke, Kalista Alistar engage. So they need to be ahead in a composition that I think should be behind early. So I think Team Liquid's drafts is a little rough.
Yeah, I mean, I liked C9's draft, and I like a lot of their callouts. Like you said, Raz, about taking the Sylas early into the Seraphine. That was the only player, Jensen, to have played Seraphine this season for TL up until this point. That was a huge callout, as well as taking it in the first phase before it can potentially get banned away. Puts pressure on TL, and I think TL kind of biffed the second half of their draft because of that pressure. No longer did they want to put the Seraphine mid, which I think what they wanted to do. So they panic and they start, taking the Seraphine into the bot lane pair with Ezreal, and suddenly that is not TL's playstyle. Like, you don't want core JJ on Enchanter. It's not like you can't play them, but that's not how they win a lot of games. And so then C9's draft, while very narrow in its focus, does that extremely well. You have winning side lanes with setup for the Nidalee so that she can actually make ganks happen. You have a ton of engage, and it's a very early game focused comp, as well as the fact that as soon as you see Hecarim and the Seraphine picked, that's great ultimates for the Sylas to take away. So like, this was a draft where I think C9 kind of knew exactly where TL wanted to go, threw a wrench in that game plan, and had a very narrow focus on what their comp was going to do, and then executed it way better.
I think so I'm not as high on Renekton Nidalee as other people are, but I think that together you with the rest of this composition, you do have enough setup for the Nidalee. I'm like pretty weird about Nidalee in terms of like picking her without setup, but they lock those in. You immediately know what they want to do. They want to have this strong top side. They're going to go top. I think the first rotation for I think TL's first three are actually really good. Like, I like the Urgot in response because that gives them lane prio that they wouldn't otherwise have. I think a really good call out is where the Seraphine is going, because looking at Core JJ's champion picks, the squishiest thing he's played is Rakan, and Rakan still has incredible CC and hard engage. You're not necessarily getting that from Seraphine, despite the fact that she obviously can engage with her ultimate. Her ultimate is remarkably powerful. When I look at what I want Core to do for TL and how we kind of set up this entire match, we want to see him going topside. We want to see, Vulcan matching topside, or Vulcan going topside and Core JJ matching with these kind of hard CC champions. This does depart from what I think a lot of TL's strengths are, and you do kind of see it struggling. There was a play of around like 5 minutes where they go mid, they blow, I believe, Perk's flash, but then because Seraphine doesn't have a lot of she's still really squishy, she doesn't have a lot of engage, they have to back off, they go for vision, and it ends up giving C9 prio topside, which we're just going to transition to now, because that is where they got a lot of their advantages. off of the already prepped Renekton Italy combination.
Yeah, Mark, we spent a lot of time talking about the monster that is Alphari up there in the top lane and the tall order that lay in front of Fudge coming into this series, but the improvement that Fudge had made over the split, as well as the possibility of Blabber and Vulcan playing party to this top lane, and 3 deaths in 15 minutes, the most Alphari's picked up this split.
Yeah, I think C9 are really good about game planning. They know that this is the biggest threat to them is Alphari. And so you get Fudge, a very strong laning champion, and you play around it extremely well on these dives, coordinating them, setting them up. It was just a super intelligent draft and execution of it. And I think, when you look at the top to bottom and how you would rank a lot of the players, a lot of them are in C9's favor. And so if this is the one big mismatch you think for the opponent, well then go shut him down. Don't let him get going. And I thought this was such a great idea. And it shows the growth that, we were talking a lot about for Fudge to be able to, have this game plan played around him. And that's where a lot of their early advantages came from, compared to at the start of the split, where he was kind of on an island just getting dunked on by Alphari. I mean, it's crazy to see the amount of turnaround that Fudge has had in, the span of like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, and all of these things that you can't really do much against when you go up against Renekton Italy, just kind of re-hitting draft. Like the first dive, unless if you have the Hecarim who's mirroring you, you just go down. He kind of did, but it was a little botched by the end of it. The second one is just when it's game over, because they didn't want to fight for Herald. So then it's just Nidalee with Herald, on a mid backing timer. So he's basically going to have a 3-man dive top lane with teleport, no matter what you're dying there if you just don't give up the wave. So, and in this situation, it was like the wave was so thin, he didn't expect it whatsoever. He can do it. The enemy team could just do it on any wave. So that's just one of the roughest things to go up against. They might not want to deal with the Renekton if they find themselves on the same side. I think they'll just have to either ban it, because it is a flex. They'll have to recognize that if they kind of think that they have the pick and that they won't give him Nidalee, well, they just put it mid. So that's the one change I want to see going in the next one.
Raz is already thinking about the next game, but I don't want to get there just yet. I do want to take a look at one more fight. This one coming 19 minutes into the game. We talk about the clock that TL was put on with the early pressure that C9 was able to generate. Here it is.
Yeah, so I mean, I think here you do see that where they're setting up, like Santorin goes in, and it does not seem like the rest of the team, rightfully so, really wanted to go in on this. And C9 are really easily able to collapse because they do have that ward up in blue buff. This is kind of for me where it was a little bit game over for TL. It's going to be really, really hard for them to get back into the game after this fight. But the reason why I did want to point it out is because already here you see that in trying to execute this composition, because they don't have that hard CC, that hard engage that TL compositions usually have, especially coming out of the bot lane with core, you see that any sort of disconnect with this, with the Hecarim going in, just ends up looking really, really bad, because obviously the rest of the team was not ready for Santorin. I don't know what happened there. It's a miscommunication. It's not on Santorin either. I'm not like calling him out or anything, but very obviously there was something that happened there where they did not communicate what they were going to do, because the execution wasn't like perfect. C9 are able to very easily collapse. They're already ahead. It's over.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like we were not super satisfied with the tools that were brought to the table by Team Liquid specifically when it comes to the drafting phase. And so now I will push us ahead to that second game in the series. It's Team Liquid going to blue side, so we're flipping the script here a little bit. Raz, I already got some thoughts from you, so I do want to hop over to Mark. Mark, when we talked mid laners at the top of the day, there was a lot of conversation around the fact that Perkz likes counterpick. And in this case, he didn't actually take counterpick, but now that they're on red side, do you think that's something they might focus?
I don't know. I could easily see them continue to play around top side. One of the things we hit on at the top of the day was like, yeah, Perkz generally likes counterpick, but as the season progressed, he started picking earlier, started going blind a little bit more often and stuff. And so I can see a world where they're like, hey, if Fudge has a pretty good champion pool, as we've seen with the set and these different things that he's busted out, if you can actually win topside and your mid laner in Perkz can take a disadvantageous matchup or go blind and come out fine and still have a huge influence on the game, why would you not do that? And then also try to get a winning topside matchup. So I could see, a similar idea out of C9. I think it's TL that really feels the pressure to adapt. I think their draft ended up very far away from the way that they generally like to play the game.
Well, they're going to have priority on blue side. We'll see what they make of it. Now, a reminder to all of you that MasterCard is awarding fans throughout the spring split of 2021. Just use your MasterCard to make any purchase from the in-store client and save your card on file to be entered to win a chance to win a $250 prepaid MasterCard, Riot Points, and a mystery figure merchandise pack. You have until April 4th. That's tomorrow, my friends. Tomorrow to make sure that you do so. Until then, we'll see if Team Liquid can bring it back to tie up the series right after this.
A lion! Ah, yes, the king of the jungle. Time for a Red Bull. Red Bull? Still, you'll never be faster than a lion. I don't have to be quicker than the lion, just faster than you. Red Bull gives you wings.